listening to the LOZ Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LOZ Podcast Network. You may be watching us in the LOZ app, or you may be listening to us on KRMS radio, because we are simulcasting now every week on Saturdays from 10 to 11. You will hear several episodes of the LOZ Podcast Network. And then if you want to watch the video portion of it, you can go into the app itself and go to the LOZ Podcast Network button, and you'll be able to see us in all our glory sitting in the studio. If you prefer to watch it that way, then you can do any which way you want. Today, we are excited because we have Michael and Michelle Lasson. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hi, Ken. How are you, sir?
And of course, the Lassons are with Team Lasson and Flat Branch Mortgage Loans. You guys have been doing mortgage origination loans for how long at the lake now?
About 24 and a half years, going on our 25th year.
25 years at Lake of the Ozarks. That's pretty amazing. So, Michelle, you've been there the whole way too, right? I mean, this is like, this is 25 years is an amazing amount of time to be helping people at the lake get into a new home.
I actually got into the industry before he did.
Okay. That's great. So, I know that you guys have seen everything in the Lake of the Ozarks. Let's face it. If you go back in the early 80s and the 90s, the 2000s, all the things that have been going on at the lake and real estate going up and down. The last 5 years has been quite a run, hasn't it?
It definitely has been quite a run. Interest rates lowered drastically in 2020, and it just created a lot of opportunity for people to buy homes. Prices were stable for a little while, and then they just started skyrocketing, and it just created lots of urgency for people to buy homes. And then rates lowered even more and created urgency for people to refinance their 7 or 8% rate down to, in some cases, we were in the threes and under 3 in a couple of cases before it was over.
Yeah, I know. I did a couple 10-year notes on some properties I have, and I've been riding that 2.9% wave. But next year it's coming due. So, I mean, you got a lot of resets probably coming out for people who didn't do 30-year loans, who you guys did 7s and 10s and those kind of things. But, I think people get so scared about the rate all the time that, it keeps them from making a move. But the reality is, if you're going to get into something now, you can always refi down the road, right?
That's correct. Rate is important. Don't get me wrong, because it's going to tell you what you can afford, but sometimes rate isn't everything. Property values, you're buying real estate now, the values can go up. The rates are going to go down. So when values go up and rates go down, it's time to refinance and recoup some of your savings there.
And what do you guys think about this? We just heard of this 50-year mortgage idea being floated out there. What's your feeling on that?
I did a scenario. A couple realtors have put out there, hey, you can buy do a 50-year note now and save on monthly payment. And you can. There's no doubt. It's like spreading your car to, 100 months. You can do it. Your payment's going to be lower. But why? If you're going to keep it any long period of time, the interest you pay is just totally obnoxious. I get it. People live in the now and you're going to sell anyway, but you're not building the equity as fast as you would on a 30.
Yeah, and I think people forget that's just an amortization. Like, it's a 30-year amortization. It's just how you run the numbers. So I mean, you're not gonna cut your payment in half by going to a 50-year note. You're gonna cut a couple $100 off of the monthly, and but your interest that you're gonna end up paying, and if you were to keep that home, and let's face it, nobody keeps a home for 50 years anymore.
The value, the equity you're building is going to be much slower.
One of the things that I've always done, and someone told me early on, is to kind of look at the ARMs, look at the 1 year, 3 year, 7, 5 year ARMs, because most of us are moving every 5 to 7 years anyway, or we're changing properties, and a lot of times I know over the last 20 years, I've never had a 30-year note. I've always had 5 year, 7 year ARMs and kind of rolled those over, but you can save some money looking at ARMs as well, right?
You can. It just depends on everyone's individual scenario. And we like to look at all the options for the borrowers and let them make that choice, because you could do the same thing with a 30-year mortgage if you make your payments right and you make extra principal, you're going to build your equity more. So we like to lay out all the options for the borrowers and say, here's where you'd be with each program. What do you want to do? Because they know better what they're going to do.
And it really does depend on what their specific scenario is. If they know without a doubt they are retiring and they are done working in 3 years. So yeah, let's look at a 3-year earn and you can pay off the note when you retire or whatever. So there's just different scenarios that will determine what's best for the client at that point.
And you guys have, I mean, with Flat Branch, you guys have all kinds of programs out there, right? I mean, that's a really big company that does a really nice job of providing a lot of products for specific individuals that you guys have. Can you talk a little bit at all about maybe some of the things that are popular right now?
What we like about Flat Branch is they are focused on the homeowner, and they are truly focused on the first-time homeowner or a new homeowner or someone who hasn't had a home in the last 3 years. One of my favorite programs is our Flex Funds, where we offer up to a $4,000 grant to the home buyers to cover down payment or closing cost or whatever they need it for if they meet the specifications. There's income guidelines, there's debt ratio guidelines, things like that. But it's just something that our founder believes in, helping people get into their new home.
We do a lot of, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of primary home products. I just closed one this morning, a MHDC loan, which is Missouri Housing Development Commission. And the buyer, we did a 3% down, 97% loan Fannie Mae conventional, and then we did a 4% loan behind it with MHDC. The client actually got his earnest money back this morning at closing. So the loans covered everything, closing costs. The seller paid some closing costs as well. So obviously that helped. But down payment was all paid by MHDC, and the person got a 100% loan, no out of pocket. And in this case, it was amazing. The closing was amazing. They were there, a brand new newborn. They were super excited, crying at closing because they're buying their first home and no out of pocket. So now they can go buy drapes and buy the furniture they need to outfit their brand new home. And they were just super excited. So those closings are just a ton of fun.
Yeah, you guys get to make some dreams come true. That's the thing. People don't understand how stressful it is to buy a new property, and especially for the first time. And they're looking to you guys to be the experts and to help guide them through. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, if you're particularly at the Lake of the Ozarks, if you're going to buy a property at Lake of the Ozarks, you must use a lender that's local, because there's so many things that come into a property at Lake of the Ozarks that nobody ever figures out. You can't do a guy out of New York on a phone call for a loan on a property on Lake of the Ozarks that's got a dock and a seawall and all the things that go into what we do here at the lake. They don't even know what that is. You guys,
some of your out-of-town lenders, and not being disrespectful, the rules are the rules are the rules. Everyone follows the same rules. Okay. But your out-of-town lenders, they just don't know the rules. They just don't understand the regulations. And like you said, you brought up docks, where we're able to count docks as value. Or out-of-town lenders are like, nope, there's no value there. Well, there's 100% value there, and that
yeah.
deal. And not understanding the condo, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac instituted rules on condo lending to be strict. They're stricter. They're making sure, again, the borrower is well protected. And let's face it, we're protecting our collateral as well. So those rules changed, and the local lenders at Lake of the Ozarks, myself and everyone else that's down here local, understands what those rules are designed for. The out-of-town lenders don't. So if they question something, they just like, nope, we're not going to do it. We're going to deny that. And then at the 11th hour, they're coming to us to try and get to save the deal. And, we can, but we can't do it that fast anymore because the rules have changed.
And this is our market. Invested in our market. We want to see people come into our market and buy new homes and enjoy it just like we do. So we're going to go that extra step to help get them into it.
I'll also tell you one thing, teaching an old dog new tricks. We've been in the business 25 years, and I work for a company where, I plugged her on Facebook yesterday. My boss, my supervisor, my area sales manager, whatever you want to call her, she lets me do my own thing, but she's available to help me. The whole Flat Branch organization is just wonderful. They're always available 24/7. We have a Teams group that someone's asking questions all the time, 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday. I'm like, good God, people, leave us alone. But the management team and the other loan officers throughout our company, we all work to help each other. So, if I've done something that someone else doesn't know and they ask a question, I'll answer the question and vice versa. If there's something that's come up that I just don't understand, I just put it out there on our Teams group and someone answers me, usually within 10 minutes.
Well, and for those of you who are listening on KRMS today, or you're watching in the LOZ app, it's super easy to get a hold of Team Lasson. You just simply go in the LOZ app, you go under the real estate section. We have a button for lenders, and they are right there in that section. You can hit one button and be talking to them immediately. One of the things that we're proud of in the LOZ app is we just support local people, local businesses, people who are really trying to work at the lake, keep the money at the lake. And certainly you guys are ambassadors of what's going on at Lake of the Ozarks. I see you at every function, every charity. You guys are always out in the public, just doing everything you can for Lake of the Ozarks. And so I want everybody to support you guys and understand that this is why we do what we do. And you can't get better representation than Team Lasson at Lake of the Ozarks.
We are available, and I tell people 24/7, this is what we do for a living. I had a client call me yesterday, and, I'm watching the football game, and I answered the phone. I talked to them. I answered their questions. And then you could hear people in the background screaming, hooting, and hollering. And he's like, oh, my God, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm like, it's no big deal. This is what I do. But people that are buying second homes here, they have full-time jobs. They're working during the week. They need to be able to contact someone on a weekend, whether it's a Sunday during Chiefs football season or whatever. You got to take the call and answer their questions.
Yeah, you guys can text the Lassons, you can call the Lassons, you can email the Lassons. They're always going to be there. I want to thank you guys for joining us on this show. Go on the LOZ app too. But I want to thank you guys for joining us on the show today. Again, all our listeners on KRMS are enjoying the show, and then also you can watch these episodes in the LOZ app. And we always like to touch base with the Lassons every couple months, see what's going on in the mortgage industry. They're truly local experts, and so we love to get their opinion. Guys, thanks for joining us today. We'll look forward to talking to you the next time.
And thank you to the LOZ app. You've done a lot for us in our business, and we truly appreciate everything you do.
All right, guys, there you have it. We will see you right after these messages.